Hey everyone, Dan here, and we are going to be doing our WandaVision pre-show in just a moment. I wanted to fire it up a little early so I could share the stream on a few other sites. So excuse me while I do that real quick. But please go ahead and start a few other sites grabbing. So excuse me while I do that real quick. Sorry, hearing myself is kind of strange. All right, let me post this up on the Twitter box. And then we will get things started. But go ahead, you can start throwing your questions in the chat if you'd like. Live WandaVision pre-show happening now. Come join. All right. Get a few more eyeballs on here. So, okay. I got to tell you guys, I am excited as hell for tonight's episode. It's going to start in, well, I'd say roughly 5 hours. I say roughly because so far the last 2 nights, it's been very slow and difficult to get the episode started. 2 weeks ago, I had a hard time signing in and had to reauthorize myself. And then this last time, I actually had to wait and restart and restart and restart and restart and restart until the damn thing actually started. Because it kept saying, we don't have enough bandwidth. Well, you'd think they would have known it by now, that they were going to need it. So, and to celebrate the season coming to an end, I was able to add, I don't know if you guys followed my Mandalorian unboxing, but one of the Holy Grail figures for my guys back here is I did not have a Quicksilver. I did not have an Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver from Avengers Age of Ultron, but I found one online and just thought, oh, that was a decent price, whatnot. But I didn't really want to spend the money right now. Things, just getting caught up on some stuff, so didn't have the money to spend. But my nephew and my mom both went, well, hey, your birthday's coming up. Order it and we'll pay you back. So even though it's still probably quite a ways from my birthday, the Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver will be joining the wall very soon. So he just came in today. Perfect timing for WandaVision, which will be airing its finale in just, like I said, 5 hours and some odd minutes, depending on how long it takes for you to actually click and get into the chat. Now, there's been a lot of discussions about WandaVision going on. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of the rumors, some a little bit, but mainly what I want to talk about tonight is setting proper expectations for what we're going to see. So I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to hit a couple of the big news things, and I'll start that exactly at the top of the hour. And just like I said, just kind of moving in pretty quickly here. And if you're following, do me a favor. You could share this post if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitch or YouTube. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I am trying to build this channel, trying to get a little more attention to the site. So if you could help me out there, it would be greatly appreciated. All right. So we're going to get this rolling in just another minute here. Yep. I see we got one visitor viewer. Hello, whoever you be. Go ahead and make a comment. Let me know who you are. And stick around. We're going to be getting the news started in just a second. And we're going to kick that off with the casting of... Okay. It seems that the Game of Thrones actress Indira Varma, who you might recognize as Illyria Sand, who spent a lot of time on screen with Pedro Pascal, and who was also a regular on the HBO series Rome, which is where I know her from, or the Amazon series Carnival Row. Well, she's been cast as a character in the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which of course stars Ewan McGregor reprising his role from the prequel trilogy, and Hayden Christensen returning as Darth Vader. So this is the first casting, I believe, that we've gotten for anybody other than those two. She's a very good actress, and I look forward to seeing whatever it is she's going to be doing. I don't even have a fathom of a guess to the role she'll be playing. I'm kind of in the dark here on the Obi-Wan series. I know it's supposed to take place in between the two trilogies, and focused on Obi-Wan's time on Tatooine. Now, will he be on Tatooine through the whole miniseries? I don't know. We'll have to find out as we go along. But casting of Indira Varma is an unspecified role in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, our next bit of news is a little sadder in the sense that T.I., the actor who was part of the trio of, Scott Lang's crew in Ant-Man, well, he will not be returning for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania because they haven't said officially what he's done or why he's not coming back, but it is believed that both Michael Pena will be returning as Lewis and David Dastmalchian will be returning as Kurt. So, to the best of my knowledge, T.I. is the only one not returning. Now, he's been in some difficulties lately. He and his wife, Tamika Tiny Harris, are being accused of sexual abuse. I don't know the details on them, and I really don't want to get into the details on them. This is an entertainment thing. You could easily look it up and see what he's accused of and find out more information there. I'm not going to cover that part of it. I'm just saying that it's been announced that he will not be returning for the third Ant-Man movie. So, which is sad because I thought they were a really interesting trio. So having one short, whether he'll be replaced, whether they'll come up with a new character to put in there, or if his character wasn't part of it in the first place, I don't know, but we'll find out. Also, another piece of news is this is an older picture of Lois and Superman and Lois from the new series because his costume has changed. This is back when he was in the Crisis on Infinite Earths miniseries. But the series debuted with some of the best numbers the CW has had for a debuting series, and they've already approved or greenlit it for a second season. So 2 weeks after its debut, and not even 2 weeks, Tuesday night was its second episode, and I think they announced it Tuesday. So it was about 2 weeks, which is the same amount of time it took The Flash to get its renewal 2 weeks after its debut. So CW knows when it has a hit and jumps on it when it's ready. So Superman and Lois has already been renewed for a second season. And one last bit of news is a little closer to my heart in that I've recently wrote for this character. I did a novel for Dynamite Books called Vampirella the Blood Dragon, which is available now. I don't plug my work much on these things, but if you go to Amazon, you can get it in digital, print, or audio. And it's a really fun series or a fun novel if you want to check it out. But Vampirella has been optioned by Arowana Media Holdings for film, television. Basically, they optioned the film, television, media rights. Now, this isn't the first time that there's been a live-action Vampirella. For some of us, we still have the nightmares of the first time that Talia. I always thought it was Talia Soto, but my notes are saying it's Talicia Soto. But Talia, the actress from Mortal Kombat, has been cast, or was back then in 1996, was cast as Vampirella, and the bad guy was Roger Daltrey from The Who. And it really wasn't a good movie at all. I mean, not even close to a good movie. So this made the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie look better. So those are the 4 bits of news that I thought were interesting enough to bring up before we get too much into it. But let's go ahead and talk about WandaVision now. And, guys, feel free to jump in with your comments or questions. And we're going to talk about an interview Matt Shakman did where he's afraid that fans might be disappointed with the finale. Now, I don't think he's disappointed in the finale. He's telling the story he wants to tell. But the problem is that we as fans, and myself included, have really run with this series and taken it to the point where our expectations are really high. And again, I didn't do most of this, but there were people talking about how this was going to open up the multiverse, and this was going to introduce the X-Men, and this was going to introduce the Fantastic Four, and the engineer was going to be Reed Richards or Hank McCoy, or it was going to rip open the multiverse. And all those things were plausible, but not likely. Because at its heart, and this is according to Shackman's interview, this is a story about Wanda's grief. This is the process that Wanda is going through to grieve. And she has created this reality to help her deal with that grief. So there's a lot of things that people are speculating that has nothing to do with that underlying story. Now, they may introduce, we may still get a big bad that's set up for Doctor Strange. We may still get those other things. But our expectation for tonight's episode really needs to be kind of rolled back in. That way we're not disappointed that we don't have these huge moments that were never promised, that were never guaranteed. We get the story they want to tell. And then if we do get those big moments, terrific. We can enjoy them. But if we roll back our expectations a little and realize that this is an intimate story about Wanda and her grief, then I think you're going to have a better time with tonight's episode. You can't. Everybody who thought, it's going to be we're going to get Mephisto and we're going to get Reed Richards. And I was the one thinking we were going to get Adam Bashir and we were going to get Simon Williams. And those things are still possible. But that shouldn't be the end all and be all of the episode. If we don't get those things, we should still enjoy the episode. So keep that in mind. And with that, it's a good thing to think about this, or keep this in mind as well. Paul Bettany was messing with us. For weeks, we've been talking about how there's going to be an actor. Paul Bettany said there's an actor that he wanted to work with his entire life, and that he's got some explosive or just, shocking scenes with this actor. And then we all saw the White Vision at the end of the last episode, and that's pretty much it. Paul Bettany was talking about getting a chance to work with himself, that it's going to be Hex Vision versus White Vision, or Scarlet's Vision versus White Vision. And that's the big cameo that he was talking about. And that's more than just speculation at this point. Bettany was on Good Morning America this morning, and they specifically asked him if he was trolling the fans. And he responded by saying, there are things that you think are going to be funny when you say them, and then they get kind of blown out of proportion. So that was basically him reeling back the expectations that he was talking about working with himself in a joking way. And you know what? It's damn funny. Just sit back for a moment and realize that he did troll us, that it really was funny, because it does fit that he getting to work with an actor he's always wanted to work with. He gets to act with himself. He gets to be on screen with himself. And that's not something most actors get a chance to do. It pops up occasionally, depending on, if you're Tatiana Maslany, you did it for years. But if you're Paul Bettany, hasn't come up yet. So I think we can roll that back. Now, there's still the Elizabeth Olsen's comment about there being, now I want to say Luke Skywalker level cameo, but that's not what she said. She was asked if there was a cameo that was being kept under wraps in the way the Luke Skywalker cameo was for Mandalorian. And she said, yeah, and she can't wait for the fans to see it. Now, could that be some big surprise star? Absolutely, it could. But it could also be White Vision. That could have been the surprise that nobody knew was coming, because until he popped up, there wasn't. I mean, there was a couple people that started speculating in it between episodes 7 and 8. I even made a joke about the song "Double Vision" because there's a chance, we'll get that, because I haven't believed that Vision was the Vision since the beginning, because of stuff like his super speed that he doesn't normally have. But I thought he was another actor. I thought he was an actor or one of the people of the town forced into that role, and I thought it was Simon Williams because of the tie to this Vision's origin of the comics, and the picture of the head writer, Jack Schaefer, in front of a picture of Simon Williams in the behind the scenes stuff. So I still got this whole idea that Simon Williams is coming in, and I've got a slightly new theory on it I threw out last week, and I'll bring it up again in a minute. But we kind of knew that the Vision that Wanda was interacting with wasn't the real Vision, but then there was moments like the fact that Hayward was tracing him through the vibranium decay, which if he could do that, then he's got to be vibranium, which means that Wanda can create vibranium, at least in the Hex. That's amazing. I mean, that's a superpower level. So, but again, roll back your expectations. Don't go in tonight's episode thinking, oh, we're going to get this giant actor cameo that Paul Bettany's always wanted to work with. Well, it turns out it should be Paul Bettany. So he's been trolling us. And unless he's now rolling it back to bring the surprise back up, to just assume that we're not getting some big cameo. That way you're not disappointed. Manage your expectations on this, because it's going to be a great ending to a great series. The only way that we're going to screw it up is if we screw it up ourselves by putting too much pressure on the series. Now, speaking of the White Vision, or Spectral Vision, which other people have been calling him. I think there was a video game that referred to him as the Spectral Venom. The Spectral Vision. If it was Spectral Venom, that would be really interesting. But they were referring to him as the Spectral Vision. And there's a ton of people out there thinking that this is going to be the way that Vision survives. That somehow Wanda is going to merge the Vision from the Hex with the White Vision or Spectral Vision and end up with her husband back. And while I would love to see that, I'm not expecting that, because, again, this is a story of grief, and Wanda's dealing with the grief. And if they were going to, she's not dealing with the grief if they just take it away with a happy ending. Oh, look, the Vision's back. Everything's fine. That's not dealing with the grief. That's not living her truth, as they like to say. That would be just covering it up for, moving on. So where it is possible we end up with the Vision back as normal, I don't think it's likely. Now, both could be destroyed, which was the Vision's wish. We could end up with the White Vision becoming a villain, possibly a new version of Ultron, in which case Paul Bettany stays in the MCU as a bad guy. He just becomes the new Ultron, and now we have another powerful villain to deal with. Ultron returns. Now, it's also possible that since we haven't heard him speak yet, the moment he shows up in the Hex or whatever and says his first line, it's the voice of James Spader. How cool would that be? Because part of the Vision is Ultron. Part of him is Tony Stark. Part of him is Jarvis. And part of him is Bruce Banner. So him coming out as Ultron would make a lot of sense. And there's also the possibility, if you follow the comics, and they're kind of following this comic story, the Vision Quest story, with the kids and also Vision turning white, he could end up back in the body and being a hero again, but not have his emotions or his full memories or basically the personality that connects him to Wanda. He could end up being just like a blank slate. And I don't mean that he doesn't have his memories, but emotional blank slate. So, that's how it was in the comics for a while. Vision and Scarlet Witch broke up because the Vision, when he came back and was the White Vision, didn't have any emotional ties to Wanda. So there is the possibility that that's how this is going to end. So I could see that a White Vision or a Spectral Vision, good guy, but no connection to Wanda and just goes off on his own, or ends up being a bad guy, or both being destroyed. And that still goes along with the grieving storyline, where if they just merge them together and give her the happy ending, it might be an ending fans want, but it's not really an ending to what seems to be the story they're trying to tell. So I wouldn't expect a full-on normal Vision at the end of this. All right, moving on to the next topic. Just as sad, it possibly will be the more loss for Wanda with Billy and Tommy. Now, again, there's a ton of speculation out there that these two are going to survive. And spoiler, I've got the spoiler thing on, so if you're watching, spoilers. But there has been photos from London or wherever that with the two of them, they posted separately on Instagram photos of themselves at a lake park with swans, and it looks like they're maybe 100 meters apart. Just different parts of the lake. They're not in each other's photos, but it's obviously the same lake and the same swans or ducks or whatever they are. So the odds are that the two of them are currently in London where they're filming Doctor Strange. That's also Bruce Campbell's in London right now where they're filming Doctor Strange, and he has this tendency to show up in Sam Raimi films. So it's possible these two boys are going to show up in the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And it's possible they get out of here alive. But the problem is that that's not how the comic series goes. The comic series, the kids vanish. They get sucked back into Mephisto or Master Pandemonium, depending on which, part of it you're reading. But so there's still a possibility the kids get just scooped up at the end of this and brought back later. Or where the speculation comes from is the Young Avengers. A lot of the characters from the Young Avengers are currently being introduced through the Disney Plus shows. Kate Bishop is going to be introduced in Hawkeye. They've recast Cassie Lang, who is Stature in the Young Avengers. There's rumors that Patriot will be introduced in Falcon the Winter Soldier. Hulkling is supposed to pop up possibly in Captain Marvel. So, there's all of these characters are getting introduced in different ways. But does that mean we're going to get a Young Avengers series? It's speculation. Like I said, there's been no official announcement. Kevin Feige has never come out and said, yes, and we're working on Young Avengers. He's told us they're working on a Fantastic Four movie many years in the future, probably Phase 5. Is it likely they're going to do a Young Avengers movie? Yeah, I don't see why they won't, and I think they are setting it up. But there's no guarantee of it, and there's no guarantee of how soon. So there's a good chance that these two kids may disappear. We could end up with Wanda having absolutely nothing at the end of this series, devastated, but coping and finding her way through, and maybe getting Doctor Strange's help to move forward. So, again, don't be surprised if we end up with a very down ending, a very heartbreaking ending, because again, we're dealing with Wanda's grief, and she has to accept all of it. So don't bank on the fact that Tommy and Billy are going to be around right away. They may come back later, they may not. Just keep that in mind. Moving on to Miss Harkness, or Agatha, if you're nasty. Wow. She's been very interesting character. If you told me in the comics, she's a very gray character. She's helped Wanda out many times. So having her be a bad guy seems a little off. But as we saw last week, when she attacked her coven, it didn't feel like she was attacking them. It felt like her powers simply overwhelmed them, and she was as surprised as they were. And it sounds like she came here to learn about where all this magic was coming from and is surprised and a bit frightened at what she found. That she has found someone who is not only using chaos magic, which is something maybe she can't use, but basically the Scarlet Witch, which is suddenly a moniker in the Marvel Universe. It never was in the past, but I believe there's a James Robinson miniseries or a series of Scarlet Witch comics that turn that into a title that passed down through generations and stuff. So they seem to be going that direction here, which I find very interesting. Now she has her name. But where does that move Agatha? Is she the bad guy? Is she a good guy? We're not sure yet. Hey, Caleb, thoughts was that the X-Men's Pietro. No, is Agatha pretending to be him? But so is it the first crossover or not? All right, give me just a minute, Caleb. I'm going to bring your question up. I'm going to get through. We're going to get to Pietro in just a minute, but let me just finish my thoughts on Agatha and we'll talk about Pietro. So the thing about Agatha is she really a bad guy, or is she just someone who builds magic? Is there a reason she's putting this stuff together? Is she hunting for more magic? Is that why she came to Westview? Does it have to do with the book? Maybe she's trying to open the book and get enough power to open the book. Maybe that's where Ralph is. Maybe she's trying to save Ralph and he's There's a lot of unanswered questions with Agatha, and I don't think it's black and white. I don't think Agatha is just clear-cut, mustache-twirling villain. I think she's going to have a little bit more depth, and I do think there's somebody backing her. I think her power is coming from somebody. The fact it's purple says that she's tapping into the dark dimension. Is it Dormammu? Is it Mephisto? Is it Nightmare? Is it Chthon? Shum-Gorath, I believe is his name. There are a lot of big bad characters that then would be perfect setups for villains in the Multiverse of Madness. So I don't expect they'll become an active part of the episode, but probably a teaser at the end. Maybe Agatha escapes, or maybe she finds a way to get the book open. We get the teaser, and that leads us to the movie. So let's go ahead and jump to Pietro. So let me bring up Caleb's question. Was that X-Men's Pietro? No, it was Agatha pretending to be him, but so is this the first crossover or not? I do not think this is the first crossover at all. I think that it was a bit of stunt casting, but there could be an extra step to it as well. I have a theory, and I'll throw the theory in a minute, but I think they were never going to use Aaron Taylor Johnson because he's dead. And bringing people from back to life, they don't want to clearly say Wanda can do that if she can. I don't think she can. But maybe she could in the Hex. But she's not the one that brought him back. Agatha did. I think Agatha's the one that brought him in to... Or maybe it was Billy. But I don't think it was Wanda. And since he was already dead, I mean, she come out and says that he was, necromancy wouldn't work because he was on another continent and full of holes. So it's obvious that it's a bit of stunt casting, but it might be something else too. Evan Peters is a good actor. So it's possible that Kevin Feige wanted to bring him into this universe. I mean, you don't turn down good actors, right? So what if they're bringing him in a different role, but doing so in this way to kind of nod to that? What if, again, a lot of what ifs here, what if Agatha merely took someone who was on the outskirts of the town that Wanda didn't normally interact with or didn't see because she controls the center? So she went to the outskirts of the town and got somebody who was out there and pulled them in to be Pietro, to pretend to be Pietro. Now, following that thought, and a good person to pick would be someone who could act, who's naturally used to being someone else. That way, when mind controlling them, you're controlling them to be a role that then is something they would naturally go towards instead of fighting against it. So if there's an actor on the outskirts of town, perhaps someone who is in the witness protection program, because we still don't know who the witness is, like Simon Williams. So my thought is, and it could be a long shot, but maybe Marvel is casting Evan Peters as Simon Williams, aka Wonder Man, and brought him in, and that's who he gets used. So we know that it's Pietro. Well, she said that Pietro was her. Yeah, Caleb brought up that I thought Agatha said Pietro was her. She said that he was her eyes and ears, but she didn't become him. And she referred to him as a crystalline possession. Now, it could be that someone she just made out of absolute nothing. But then it would be completely stunt casting, and Marvel was just having fun with us. But it could also be something more. And if they, I still think Simon Williams has a role to play in this. I could be completely wrong, but it would be interesting to see that. Now, there's another comment here. I think Quicksilver is actually a Quicksilver. When he first appeared on the show, there was a border breach in the SHIELD base. I think this was Quicksilver entering the Hex from the outside. You are absolutely correct. There was a border breach alarm, and they have not explained that. So yes, it is absolutely possible that he came in from outside. And is he Quicksilver from another dimension? Maybe. The reason I'm hesitant is if he was the Quicksilver from the X-Men universe, why does his powers work like the Quicksilver from this universe? Why does he... I know Agatha is controlling him, so his memories are her memories. But his speed doesn't work the same. It looks like Aaron Taylor Johnson's speed. You would think that his powers would work the same as they would in the Fox universe. Don't get me wrong. It absolutely could be. But Kevin Feige has never been one to really lie. He'll obfuscate and he'll be quiet about it, but he talked about there not being X-Men in Phase 4. And I meant to click over to his picture. In X-Men in Phase 4, that because there was no X-Men, there was no Fox deal in Phase 4. And I believe him. So I believe that this was stunt casting. I think they were always going to recast the part. There was always going to be the line about recasting because recasting is a normal part of sitcoms. And I mean, we got it in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was one of the great examples. So they stunt casted recast the mother on the show. And then when they brought her back, Aunt Viv. And they've done that in other shows. Becky on Full House, not Full House, Roseanne got changed. So recasting is a normal part, and I think they were planning on doing that either way. And then they got a chance to get Evan Peters. Now, could he be something more in the universe? I think that would be cool. But it could also be simply just stunt casting to not only mess with the audience, but to get us to go, oh, maybe it is. So, my thoughts on the one in the credits scene. This is what Caleb brings up. Is it Monica? Is it Agatha effing with Monica too in the end credits? I don't think we have enough information to say one way or the other. That's actually the scene that made me think that he was Simon Williams, because of the way he's dressed at the end there with that weird hat. That doesn't feel like a hat that somebody in Westview, New Jersey would wear. That feels like a hat you would find from the West Coast. That's something that you would see in the Bay Area or LA, and something an actor would wear. And the fact that he had it on in that scene just seemed weird to me. So that it meant something. And that we know the missing witness is from Jimmy's side of the country, which is the West Coast. So that's where my idea was, that he might be the missing witness, and he was just someone that Agatha used as a puppet. So I think that is a possibility. And I lean towards Simon Williams, because I think, again, the picture of Jack Schaefer, the writer, sitting in front of a picture of Simon Williams in the behind the scenes stuff makes me think they want to bring him into the show. And I know they've been trying to do that in Guardians of the Galaxy with Nathan Fillion, but it was never actually on screen, so they could go a different direction. So I don't want to move off of Pietro yet. If anybody else has any comments or questions, so just throw them in if you do. I hope we get a satisfactory answer on him tonight. But I think we'll have to accept that they were just messing with us as a possibility. But I think the least likely possibility is that he is actually the X-Men's version. He's the Fox version of Pietro or Peter, because the bottom line is, at the end there, the movies were not doing well. They were not hits. Age of Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix were bombs. People hated them. Why would Kevin Feige want that baggage? I don't think Caleb would be happy if that turns out to be the case, that he's just a stunt casting. But they got your attention, didn't they? They made you think about it. So, all right, we're going to move on. We're going to do Monica here. Monica's interesting because there's still, we got to wrap her up in a sense, but we're not going to get the biggest mystery with Monica is who her friend is. And the more listening to conversations with the director and the other actors and stuff, I think that we totally ran wild to speculation on who the engineer is. I'm pretty sure we've already met the engineer, that Major Goodner is probably the engineer. And if anything, she's just a Skrull, that she may be the Skrull that Monica grew up with, or that she met in Captain Marvel 2. I give it about a 2% chance it's going to be somebody like Reed Richards or Hank McCoy, anything like that. I think we took 2 lines from an episode. Oh, I know an aerospace engineer who would want to do that, and I need to go meet my guy, and blew it out of proportion. Oh, it's Reed Richards. Oh, it's Hank McCoy. Oh, it's going to be Ben Grimm. It's going to be blah, 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 blah. All these, and it's going to be Ironheart. They could have been. It absolutely could have been. But this one's on us. Pietro's on them. They cast Evan Peters. This one's on us. If we find out it's a Skrull, if we don't find out anything, there was no promise that it was going to be anything. We made it a big deal. So Monica's mystery engineer could be absolutely nobody. And there's a good chance we're not going to find out any more about her powers until Captain Marvel 2. Maybe we see her use some of them tonight to deal with the White Vision and Agatha, or maybe the fake Pietro as he's called, is actually still acting against them. still under Agatha's control. Maybe she has to fight them. But I don't think we're going to get a lot more on Monica. I think they'll save that for the Captain Marvel sequel, which I'm good with. I think she's a fun character. She's been a real joy in here. I think Jimmy's been great. I think Darcy's been great. But they are supporting characters. And we go back to the important thing here is this is a story about Wanda's grieving process. Wanda is grieving the loss of her parents, of her brother, and her love. And she's not grieving well, and she's created this fake reality, and she has to accept it and move on. And that is the story we're being told. All the extra bells and whistles, good majority of them we've put on ourselves. And others they've teased us with. So I wouldn't expect too much more from Monica. Now, on the other hand, this guy needs to get his comeuppance. This guy needs to fry. Yeah. I am not buying that he is, what some of the things I've heard, he's Ultron. He's Mephisto. He's Nightmare. He's a Skrull. He's all these horrible things. And you know what? I'm not buying any of them. I think he is, in a way, Tony Stark. He saw multiple attacks on Earth by aliens and thought, we need to do something. We are just average human beings and we need to be able to fight. So where Tony Stark built Ultron as an armor around the world, he was handed the body of the Vision when Maria passed, and he's been hell-bent on rebuilding it to save the planet. And to do so, he has cut corners and done things he should not have done. And now I think he is so worried about threats that they can't handle. That is why he's ready to nuke Wanda, because Wanda is another superpowered threat and it needs to be shut down yesterday. So he took the resources that were given to him and he rebuilt the Vision. And where he couldn't get it to restart without Wanda, I don't think that he had some master plan that, sent Monica to Westview, and he specifically he gave the deed to Wanda to set all this up. I don't think he's that good. He's not a super genius. There's a few others in the Marvel Universe, and even them, they would have a hard time putting this together. Hayward is not the mastermind behind all of this. If anything, he got called in because his agent disappeared, that he was just trying to get out of the building so he wouldn't have to deal with her, finds out that she's gone missing, brings out everything, and then after he's got all the people there, discovers, oh Lord, this is Wanda, and there's another version of the Vision in there. The bigger question to me, again, is how is he tracking the Vision that Wanda has made from scratch? Because it's not the actual body. So Wanda made vibranium out of just thin air. That's the bigger thing here. This guy is just a schmuck. He is just a guy trying to save the planet, but doing it in ways he shouldn't be doing. And he's going to get caught. And I think he needs to be kicked out of SWORD. And Monica needs to take over. Or at least he needs to be kicked out. So don't expect him to shapeshift, because I'll be surprised. I think the soldiers that Monica and Jimmy met up with are actually Skrulls. I think he's cutting off alien stuff. He doesn't believe in aliens or any of that other stuff. He thinks that mankind should protect itself with whatever means possible. So, okay. Cameo. There's been talk about cameos through this whole thing. Evan Peters is basically a cameo. Well, not a cameo, but he's the stunt casting. But will we get Doctor Strange? It almost doesn't make sense that we haven't had Doctor Strange. He is one state away, and not even a big state. It's not like he's in Northern California and something's happening in Southern Arizona. He is in New York and in New Jersey. There is this giant burst of magic being used, this spell after spell after spell that called Agatha Harkness to it. Why has not the Sorcerer Supreme shown up? Or at least sent Wong to investigate? I think we kind of need to have one of them show up in the finale. I'll be surprised if they don't. On the other hand, it would also be interesting if Mordo showed up, because Mordo's quest now is to get rid of magic users. And here we see two big magic users suddenly just opening, working out in the open. So I think Doctor Strange is more likely than Mordo, but they would make sense. I think we need to at least get Doctor Strange, even if at the very end that helps, comes in to help Wanda or something. We shall see. Because I know a lot of people think that Wanda's going to be the bad guy in the end of all this, that Wanda's going to be the bad guy of Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, because she's had that switch flipped a few times in the comics. Yeah, it's absolutely possible. I don't know if it's probable, because it would be a lot to explain to a movie-going audience that hasn't seen WandaVision. And Marvel has always, other than Endgame and Infinity War, they don't necessarily make you see everything. So if you want to go see Doctor Strange, it shouldn't be that you had to have seen WandaVision and the Spider-Man movie. Should you? For context? Sure. But it has to be set. So I think if Wanda's going to be the bad guy, that it'll be set up here, but the actual flip would take place there. Caleb says, news release on CBR a few weeks ago that Cumberbatch has 3 commitments to MCU. Doctor Strange 2, Spider-Man 3, and WandaVision will locate. Okay. Yeah. Again, it would not surprise me at all for Doctor Strange to pop up. It would make a lot of sense. He's exactly the character you would expect to show up in a moment like this, especially with that book. A lot of people seem to think that book may be from Carmitage. That in Doctor Strange, there's an open spot in the wall of books, which are hex-shaped, by the way. The openings are hex-shaped, just like everything else in this series. And they think there's a book that's missing, and that this could be the book. There's talk about whether the book is the Darkhold, or is the ironbound tomb of Shum-Gorath. I may be getting his name wrong. But so there's a couple possibilities on what the book could be. If it is the Darkhold, it is very different looking than what we've seen on Runaways and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but again, those aren't necessarily canon. So it could totally be the Darkhold, but if it does, it kind of pushes those out of the universe finally, one way or the other. We'll have to see. It could be a lot of different books. Marvel, if you look up magic books in the Marvel Universe, it's a list. It's a chunk of books. So yes, it absolutely could be the Darkhold, but it could be something else, all of which should interest Doctor Strange. So I would, and the fact that when they did the premiere, he popped up in the premiere to say something in the little red carpet premiere thing they did. So I'd expect him to at least show up at the ending, even if it's just a cameo at the end. Just like I think there'll be a cameo at the end for the big bad that'll then be the big bad of Doctor Strange 2. But that's speculation. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't take away from the show any. Okay, so that's all the highlights, at least I think. Those are the things that we needed to talk about. Let me close that file. What do we got here from Caleb? Info dump article on CBR News in that Spider-Man 3 real title reveal article press release. Marvel Studios President Kevin Feige previously confirmed it will tie into both Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and WandaVision, as Benedict Cumberbatch will reprise his role as Doctor Strange in all 3 projects. Okay, I hadn't heard the guarantee that he was in all 3. I knew he was going to be in the Spider-Man No Way Home, and I knew that they were going to be connected. All 3 movies are kind of a through story, throughput. So that we get. I hadn't seen it confirmed that Doctor Strange would be in WandaVision, but it makes perfect sense. I'd be surprised if he didn't, like I said. So I will expect him to pop up in 4 hours and 30 some odd minutes or whatever it is. Yeah, so I expect that. Now, what the MCU is going to look like, or at least what Wanda and the Vision are going to look like coming out of this, that's going to be the interesting thing. Will we have the kids still? Will Tommy and Billy be around? Will the Vision be around still? Will both versions get destroyed? Will only one be around? Will they merge? And what we get through the merger, will it be a non-emotional Vision who decides to move on from Wanda or leave Wanda? And what shape will Wanda be in by the end of this series? Those are the important things to take from this show. Those are the answers we need, and the Pietro thing. But expect Captain Marvel stuff to be carried over to the Captain Marvel movie, or the Monica stuff. I always think of her as Captain Marvel because that's the first name she had when I started reading her. But I guess it's Photon or Spectrum, or hopefully they'll give her one of her names soon so we can focus on that. But expect Monica to carry over into that. I really want to know who the missing witness is. I think if they don't tell us, that's a cardinal sin. That is the writer's sin of introducing a gun in the first act and never having it go off. Yeah, I mean, that's a no-no of writing. So if we don't find out who the witness is, I got a problem with that. But everything else, the key is this is Wanda's story. So I'm opening this up to questions, comments. You guys jump in, add your thoughts on it. What do you guys want to see tonight? What's your make or break concept thing? Is if it's not the X-Men, then you're going to riot, or if Mephisto doesn't pop up, and if he does, then it has to be either Al Pacino or Dick Van Dyke as Mephisto. By the way, Dick Van Dyke as Mephisto would be absolutely brilliant casting. I would love that. Al Pacino would be absolutely brilliant casting, but with the fact that it was so sitcom related, Dick Van Dyke as Mephisto would be pretty damn awesome too. Again, pie in the sky rumor there, but all right. Lisa says that she wants to see Cumberbatch. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think we need to see Doctor Strange show up. It only makes sense if he shows up. Because, I mean, why wouldn't he? Again, he is one state over, and it's a small state. So I agree. I want to see Cumberbatch, and I think we absolutely need to see Cumberbatch. And if Caleb's news story he linked to is right, then we should see Cumberbatch. So that's cool. I think Vision's coming out of this. Is this the end of Paul Bettany in the MCU? Was this his final hurrah, and that's why he teased us that about the big cameo? Or will we have him back, or will we have him in a different way? And maybe we're going to get, maybe we get Ultron. Ultron always comes back in the comics. I mean, that's the thing. He's one of the most resilient villains in the Avengers. He's always popping back up, and he's a robot, so he should always be able to pop back up. But how neat would it be to have James Spader's Ultron voice coming out of Paul Bettany? I don't think they'd want to do that long term, but or have him back as Jarvis. That would be funny. Just have him revert back to Jarvis. But in what? Would he be an AI again for Ironheart, which is a character we're supposed to get, which is Riri Williams in an Iron Man type suit that she builds? Would Rhodey suddenly have Jarvis? Would he be part of the Armor Wars thing? Lisa is saying no way to, I'm not sure. There was a lot of things there, but probably no way to Ultron being back, or at least James Spader. I love James Spader's voice. I think he has a great voice. So I would be happy to see him or hear him again. I think that would be a lot of fun. But I do want to keep Spader in an episode of What If. I have heard that. I know they're bringing back. I know they're basically doing a What If episode for all the movies. Each movie will have its own. So that means Age of Ultron will have its own What If. What that story will be, we won't know. But that means there should be James Spader's voice at least back. So that'll be fun. Plus, we'll get Jeffrey Wright in every episode. And Jeffrey is another one that has one of those great voices. So that'll be fun. Lisa says there's no way they're getting rid of the Vision. And you know what? I hope you're right. I agree. I don't want them to. We've lost too many Avengers already. We've lost Iron Man. We've lost Captain America. We lost Black Widow, even though we're getting a Black Widow movie. We've lost Black Widow. Yeah. I don't want to lose a Vision, so I'm hoping that you're 100% right, Lisa, that we will get Paul Bettany in one form or another. Will we get him as a villain? That could be interesting, at least for a little while, and then they have to save him. That could be a fun storyline, too. What if he's one of the bad guys in Multiverse of Madness, and they're trying to because in the comics, how they get the White Vision back to being the normal Vision is they download the brain print from another Vision from the multiverse. Maybe that's why they even go into the multiverse, to try to find another version of Vision to copy. I think that's the neat thing, is that you have, 60 some odd years, almost 60 years worth of comic history that Kevin Feige has to play with. And he can pull stories, he can mix and match, he can twist them and take them in new directions. There's so much source material to play with. And then he's also can ignore it or change it. So that's the neat thing about the Marvel Universe. And I look forward to seeing what they're going to do next. I remember buying the original Vision and Scarlet Witch comic when I was a kid, the miniseries where the children were introduced. And that was like no comic I'd ever read before. This was a story about an android and a mutant or a witch having kids out of nowhere. I mean, I was at least old enough to know that ain't right. That's not supposed to happen. Something else is going on here. And as a reminder, Doctor Strange is the one that delivered the babies in the miniseries. So again, Doctor Strange popping up here makes a lot of sense. So I got a couple more minutes. Anybody else have any other comments or questions they want to throw in here? What do you think? Do you think we're going to have the kids at the end of this? Do you think Tommy and Billy will still be around? Are they casualties of the Hex if it drops? Will they be around, or will Wanda just have to suffer another crippling loss? I mean, she has gone through so much. At what point does it break? And since they didn't have Fox at the time, are they setting Wanda up to be their version of the Dark Phoenix story? The hero that gets so powerful but goes bad, and everybody has to unite against her. The Vision thing, for those who don't know, there was a recent series of comics based on the Vision where he created his own family like him, synthoid Vision, and one of them was a girl. There was a wife, 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and a dog named Sparky. And out of that series where he created his own basically domestic bliss came a daughter named Vision, who has become a regular character in the MCU. I believe she's part of the Young Avengers now too. Do I think they'll bring her in? I think we just had the domestic family story. I don't think we'll get it again with just Vision. That seems redundant. Will they find a unique way to bring Viv in? Possibly. But they have so many characters, and she's such a new character. I don't think she's necessarily needed, but we'll have to. Viv's in the Champions. Thank you, Caleb. Lisa says, I don't think that Disney will kill 2 kids. Wow, good thought. I don't think they would kill 2 kids. But if it turns out that the kids were never real in the first place, and they just fade away when the hex goes, are they killing the kids since they never really existed? Does seem dark for Disney. I mean, that seems really dark for Disney. But it's also what happened in the comics. I think if I had to put money on it, I think I'm going to go with Lisa on this one. I think it's a little too dark for Disney. Will they disappear, and perhaps that's part of what Wanda has to do is to try to find them? I could see them doing something like that. And the fact that the actors are in London right now, where they're filming Doctor Strange 2. Yeah. I don't think they're going to kill the kids. I don't think she's going to have Vision at the end of this. I don't know if he'll be gone. He may just be the unemotional Vision, but she's got to go through loss to finish her grieving process, which is what the story is. So, I don't know if John Byrne is the writer and artist who created the twins in the comics, for those who don't know. I don't know if he gets paid for it. I've never seen his contract, but I do know that the last episode added his name to the thank you section. So previously they had the other people who've worked on the series, but John Byrne wasn't listed, and John Byrne got added to the thank you. So they are acknowledging the twins and the White Vision and stuff, which were all John Byrne's creations. So, but you would have to ask Byrne if he's getting paid. Let's see. What does Lisa say? I would buy into Wanda creating her own timeline by creating this alternate reality and then her trying to go into the multiverse and find her family. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That if she loses them here, snaps and decides that she needs to go out and find them in the other multiverses. Yeah, I could see that. That she's going to go out and find a Vision from another multiverse or another universe, and to find her kids in another. That would make a lot of sense. That would open up the multiverse, which we know is going to be big in Doctor Strange. And there's a good chance it's going to be part of the Spider-Man story, because we got confirmed that Alfred Molina is returning and Jamie Foxx are returning. And Jamie Foxx, of course, was the Electro in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, and Alfred Molina was Doc Ock in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. And that's putting aside the rumors that Garfield and Maguire are going to come back. So there's going to be multiverse involved in the Spider-Man movie, and it's definitely in the Doctor Strange movie. It's in the title, Multiverse of Madness. So I absolutely could see that makes a lot of sense that Wanda could be hopping through the multiverse trying to find Vision and the kids. So, yeah. And correct, I am going to mention this, Caleb, that it was actually John Byrne created the White Vision, and he's the one that took the kids away and made them figments of the. Basically, Wanda has to be concentrating on them to exist in the comics, but it was actually Steve Englehart and Richard Howell who did this miniseries that created the kids in the first place. So, but Byrne would absolutely, if anybody's getting paid, Byrne would absolutely get paid for the White Vision. So I do not know how that works, though. So, and no one's actually tried to make a movie out of a character I created. So when that happens, I'll be happy to call you up and let you know how that works. Okay, we've passed the top of the hour. I'll stick around for a few more minutes if you guys have any other comments or questions you want to throw in here. Do you guys think I'm right about the engineer just being nobody or just a scroll? It's not going to be a big reveal. We're not going to get a big cameo, or Doctor Strange is going to be the big cameo. We're not going to get, we're not going to get Al Pacino popping up and, oh yeah, I'm Mephisto, yeah. We're not going to get that. By the way, apologies to Al Pacino for that horrible imitation. All right, guys, we are 8 o'clock. We are 4 hours away from the premiere. Caleb says his phone is dying. Thanks for putting this on. Thank you, Caleb, for coming out. I appreciate you jumping on here. We need to get you on the show itself. If you got a webcam and stuff, I'd love to have you on one night, whether for WandaVision, which is wrapping up, but maybe for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and get you on the show as well. So reach out, let me know if that's a possibility, and let's talk. Thank you, everybody else, for coming out. Do me a favor, if you are on Twitch or YouTube, if you could hit the like and subscribe buttons, I would appreciate it. I'm trying to build the site here, or the presence, and all those likes and subscriptions help a lot. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Hi, Dominic. I'm not going to put your comment live because I'm not sure about the last word there. But hello. Thanks for coming by. The new episode should be in 4 hours. So, yeah, it's supposed to drop at midnight Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern. Also, keep in mind that over the last 2 weeks, Disney has been having some issues with the sheer number of people popping in. So keep that in mind. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, I ended up having to re-authenticate my sign-in, and before it could let me in. And then last week, it took about 10, maybe 15 minutes of repeatedly trying to start the episode before it would actually kick on. So expect some delays. So if you're staying up tonight, expect some delays because there's going to be a lot of people. It should be longer. Originally, the director said that there was 6 hours of television, and we've got about an hour and 15 minutes left of 6 hours from what we've seen so far. But I don't expect it to be an hour and 15. I've heard some people say that it's supposed to be 50 minutes long with normal credits. So expect it to at least be 45 minutes of actual showtime. Yeah, about 45 minutes. So it'll be the longest episode, but I don't expect it to be super long, like a double size or anything like that. Trust me, we could use it. I absolutely would love it if it was, because I think there's a lot of stuff left to clean up, but expect it to be about 50 minutes long from what I understand. All right. Dominic, since you just joined us, anything else you want to ask before I wrap it up? Yeah, I was hoping for an hour, and we might get it. I don't know, but like I said, the what I've been hearing online is 50 minutes. So it was never supposed to be a long series. I know that Falcon and Winter Soldier should be longer. They're supposed to be hour-long episodes, or at least 50-minute episodes. But then it's only supposed to be 6 episodes. By stretching it out over 9, we got little easier. And I don't think we're going to get Reed Richards. I'm sorry, I don't. I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong. It'd be neat if John Krasinski showed up, or Henry Cavill, or somebody else, and they've got the little salt and pepper sideburns and stuff. But I just don't see us getting a Reed Richards appearance, at least, and not in the final episode. There is so much stuff for them to deal with. I don't see introducing a member of the Fantastic Four in a 50-minute episode. But it would be cool. But again, that's on us as fans who speculated that the engineer was something huge. So it could just be a Skrull. It could just be nobody. All right. All right, guys. That's it. I am wrapping it up. Thank you for joining me again. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you're on YouTube, or if you're on Twitch. If you're on Facebook, just hit the like buttons. And thank you again. I will be up tomorrow and doing my review of the episode. And then again, we will be back on Sunday night at 6 o'clock with the next Pop Go the Writers. And we'll be talking about this episode. It'll be myself, Rosalinda Diaz, Dan Taylor. And I haven't actually gotten a guest for it because I almost think I just want the 3 of us to talk out the final episode, but that may change. Anyway, thank you again for popping in. Have a great night, and hope we all love what we get with WandaVision season finale. Good night.